You'll be able to show your proof of vaccination here at Cougville, here at the Compton Union Building, and here at Beasley Coliseum. In just a few short weeks, the Cougar Drumline has gone from in here in the Kimbrough Music Building to playing with the rest of the Cougar Marching Band out here on Grimes Field to performing 3 separate halftime shows in 3 consecutive weeks here at Martin Stadium. It isn't easy balancing work, running a food cart, and being a parent, but according to the Schatzkos, bringing people together here at Paradise Creek Brewery for some barbecue makes it all worth it. CAF donors have taken their negative feelings towards the Rolovich situation and put it towards raising money for a brand new indoor practice facility to replace this one. That'll be taking place in the building right behind me in room G41 from noon to 3 p.m. tomorrow. Appointments do have to be made online through Cougar Health. You know, we've seen some snow around town, we've seen some hail as well. We saw some grapple on campus, which is kind of like some light hail, almost like Dippin' Dots. You know, do some gardening, you know, plant myself on the couch, as my dad would say, and, you know. 2, 3, 4. The Cougar Drumline is back in person for the 2021 season with new equipment and a lot of new faces, including instructor Dr. Chris Wilson. For returners like Chandler Phelps, returning after a year of remote drumline has been challenging.
To be honest, it's been really tough. We've been going through a lot of growing pains. There's been some frustrations, but you know, we're all trying our best to work together and get things sorted out. And I'd say that we sounded really good at our first game.
But according to Dr. Wilson, what the line lacks in experience, they make up for in enthusiasm.
Absolutely. My guess, if I had to quiz them, I bet you they spent all summer really excited to come back and play in person.
That passion has been much needed as the drumline has had very little time to prepare for a demanding start to the football season. In just a few short weeks, the Cougar Drumline has gone from in here in the Kimbrough Music Building to playing with the rest of the Cougar Marching Band out here on Grimes Field to performing 3 separate halftime shows in 3 consecutive weeks here at Martin Stadium. There are many obstacles when it comes to putting together that many field shows, but for Dr. Wilson, memorizing all the music is the biggest hurdle.
We had to learn 3 tunes for the first show, a new tune for the second show, and then 3 new tunes for the third show, and so that's where the challenge really lies.
Okay. But in snare drummer Logan Gallinger's opinion, the line's work ethic makes them capable of overcoming anything the schedule can throw at them.
There's a lot of music to memorize, obviously, but you know, with a line that works as hard as from what I've seen, a line that works as hard as we do, it hasn't really been that big of an issue for us.
You'll be able to catch the Cougar Drumline with the rest of the marching band at every home football game this season. Reporting from Murrow News 8, I'm Derek Strom. BJ Rollison loves sailing, and in the decades he spent on a boat, he's been almost everywhere you can imagine.
He sailed the Atlantic, the eastern seaboard, the ICW, sailed over in Sweden and Denmark. I've sailed in Ireland. I've sailed in Israel, and I sailed in Bulgaria.
BJ's love for the ocean even played a big part in his wedding. Just ask his wife, Dana.
I met BJ. He was living on his boat at that time in Lake Union. And by the time we got married, it was agreed that in our marriage vows that he would get to spend 1 night on the boat. And after retirement, he would be able to sail around the world.
One of BJ's latest expeditions was sailing to Hawaii, but that trip came with many challenges.
And we were about 1,100 miles out when the forestay broke. The forestay is the part that holds up the front of the mast. And we looped around the Pacific High into San Francisco. And I was able to make it to San Francisco with the wind on our stern and get repairs done. That took about a month, about a month and a half or so. And then in October, I picked up another crew member and we made it across to Hawaii safely. So.
BJ's spending time with his family over the holidays here at his home in Renton, but that wasn't always a certainty for him. Because of COVID, BJ couldn't stay in Hawaii, so he set his sights to the islands of the South Pacific Ocean.
The only 2 options after COVID were Fiji, which had a Blue Lane program, and Guam. And Guam was kind of iffy. And so I applied for the Blue Lane program at Fiji. I got approved, and so that was the destination that I was heading for.
But after a 22-day sail to Fiji, COVID had become much more prevalent on the islands, and BJ ended up staying there.
From April up until October.
He spent 7 months in Fiji, and including his sail to Hawaii, that was 9 months spent on the boat. For BJ, that was a long time to spend away from his family.
I love being on the boat, and I don't, I love sailing around, but it was a long time. It was a long time away from home, and it was a long time away from my family. I really missed my wife and daughter.
All throughout those 9 months back home, Dana was waiting for BJ to return.
You know, I felt all the feelings. I got angry at one point, and then just kind of resigned, knowing that there was nothing he could do. This wasn't planned, and just hoping that he could make his way safely back when the time was right and the weather windows were right.
Finally, in October, the weather was right. BJ sailed to Guam and flew back home just in time for the holidays.
Getting off the airplane and knowing that I'm, going to see Dana and Elizabeth very soon, it was a big deal.
It was the best Thanksgiving that we've had, and I was just really grateful that it all worked out for him to come home.
For Murrah News 8, I'm Derek Strom.